got a co-presenter. There he is, K-Mac. K-Mac, you got a haircut.
Can you hear me?
Let's tessellate. Hold on. Can you hear that okay at all?
Is it better if I talk in the voice?
Yeah, and you look great, man. I wish I could have read the note that was handed to me, but I didn't get eyes on it, so I'm not sure what it was. Hey, can you hear that music at all?
Yeah.
You can? I just thought I'd grab some quick new music. Can anybody guess who that is? If anybody can guess, who this is, you win like $1? I don't know, $5. I'll send it to you. Hold on, somebody said bad music. Oh boy. Can anybody identify that band?
Three guns and one one's empty.
All right, I don't have anybody getting even close. Anybody want to take a stab at that? It's a big trivia for the start. Scary, you look 5 years younger with that haircut. All right, I'm going to cut the music in a second, but nobody's even close. I'm not getting any good guesses at all. I know it. Barb thinks it's bad. She's probably right. Hold on, last moment. All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm cutting the music. Nobody got it. Nobody gets $5 out of me. I was going to Venmo it to you immediately. This is Studio One at the McNally house. And you've got a podcast quality microphone, I see.
Yeah. This is my mic that I use all the time. Does it matter if I'm here or here?
You know, right in the middle is good.
Right here? It's good.
That's too creepy.
Hey, welcome back. Alan Clary with us for an hour and a half. The greatest hour and a half of all of our lives. Lies, yeah.
Okay. So good. We both have these glasses on, so that gives away our age a little bit. I'm going to throw a poll out right off the top. Yeah, you did.
Hey, listen, before we get started, first of all, I've got two important things to say. Is that my camera there? Is that
yes,
my camera?
That's your camera.
Naughty.
Yep.
First thing, I'm really proud of you that you finished the book and that the book is as good as it is. Because I know it's going to continue to inspire people to pursue their dreams. The second thing I want to say is I want to raise a glass to all of our first responders, the nurses, the doctors, the EMTs, the firefighters, and the cops. This is a war. Make no mistake, and they are on the front lines. So cheers to them tonight.
I'll drink to that.
There you go. All right, let's get started. Let's do this.
All right. Okay. Whew. Got a little emotional there for a second. Okay. We got a lot of fun people there. Oh, Art's already pouring cocktails. Great. All right.
Now, are these people over here on the right?
Yeah, that's Art on the right. Yeah, and Luke. By the way, Luke is not. By the way,
I know it, Ashley. Barb, Courtney,
yeah.
Ellen.
Don't make fun of the guests, please.
I'm not. No.
Don't make fun of the people.
Luke Bays. That's the name. That's a guy who should write a book. Luke Bays.
And by the way, back up a second. Luke is not wrong. The grocery workers need a little toast right now because.
Oh, here. Absolutely. We were just talking about that. We were watching David Muir tonight on the ABC Evening News, and he mentioned that. Absolutely. You go to the grocery store, wear a mask, do the social distancing. Here's to the grocery workers. Okay.
So let's get started, Kerry.
Okay.
All right. So a little bit, I'm going to throw up this presentation briefly, and it's called "Is the World Changing? Under Our Feet?" No, seriously, it seems to me that it is. Okay. Just quickly about me, I teach entrepreneurship at the University of South Florida. It's a top 10 nationally ranked program, by the way. A lot of people don't know that. Co-founder of the Tampa Bay Wave here in Tampa Bay, a large national accelerator for tech startups, entrepreneur residence at University of Tampa. I've had a half corporate career, a half entrepreneur career. And I wrote a book recently called Quit to Start, How to Discover Your Best Idea, Gain the Confidence, and Plan Your Escape. And that's been a really fun journey to talk about. Dedicated to helping others plan their start. My website's planyourstart.com, and I'm not here to sell, but we're here to help. This is a show that we're going to here to try to help and share with people ideas that we have. This is raw and unrehearsed. Okay, real quick, I want to show this, Kerry. You haven't seen this, but these are companies that were started in recessions, right? So I just want to kind of put that out there. It's kind of good context for people. A lot of these are old school that were started in recessions of years past, but look how many of these were started in the last recession in 2008, 9, and 10, right? Uber, I'm just going to scan Uber, Dropbox, Instagram, next column, Airbnb, Groupon, WhatsApp, Venmo, Slack, Square. Wow, right? So just kind of interesting for people to know that some of the greatest companies that you know and the greatest brands that you know were started in recessions. Why is that? Why is that, Kerry? What? It's pretty obvious, but why do you think that is?
I think it's the atmosphere of the economy, right? So as a pilot, we learn that if you have an airfoil, right, and wind goes across the top, all right, it has to go farther than it has to go the bottom, right? Which creates a high pressure system underneath and a low pressure system on top. High pressure always races into a low pressure system, which creates lift. And that is the definition of flight. And I think that's what happens, is that entrepreneurs instinctively race into that vacuum.
That's right. And that vacuum, that recession kind of equals opportunity, right? Yeah. So not only are the aspiring entrepreneurs kind of pushed into uncomfortable situations where they're either losing their jobs or maybe possibly losing their jobs, where they have to get creative and survival is the mother of invention, but also the market are such that it's shifting so quickly that huge opportunity chasms open up, right? Things that weren't there before, all of a sudden there.
I think as the Stones put it, time is on our side. We have all this time now, whether we're working from home or we're already solopreneurs or entrepreneurs. There's a preponderance of free time to self-reflect and dig deep down inside and find out what's really important to you, and if you can make a living pursuing that, right? And I think that's what happens when there's a recession. We find that spark, that moment where, you know what, screw this. Maybe this was a huge mistake working for this company, because clearly they weren't ready for this recession. They didn't have their act together enough to prevent this from happening, to prevent all these layoffs. And so you just start racking your brain, you start thinking. And I also think, especially now, because this quarantine is different than 2008, right? I mean, that's fair. It's very different. There's a quarantine going on. Now, it's not a true quarantine. A quarantine, by its definition, means you can't leave the four walls that you're in. That's not the case here. You can go to grocery shop. You can go to certain places. You can go to work if it's an essential place, but you can go for runs every day now, maybe twice a day. You can do yoga. You can lift. You can play the guitar or learn to play the guitar. You can sit down and write like you've never written before. You can
launch a video podcast.
Yes, exactly. I mean, this is amazing. Seriously, this is really remarkable. And I aspire to be able to do this at some point.
Kerry, I'm on a run. You thought that when I did the book, you thought I couldn't go any more. You didn't think I had another level.
Oh no. I've known you too long. I know when you're like a dog on a bone, and that's great, and that's why you're successful, and that's why everybody should read the book, and they should to listen to this conversation and be a part of this conversation, because this is our moment. This is it, and we're gonna look back 10, 15, 20 years. And we're going to look at another list, right? And it's not going to be Uber, or Instagram or Airbnb. It's going to be your company or my company or whomever is tuning in to this moment, literally and figuratively. This is the opportunity to make your wildest dreams come true if you have those kinds of wild dreams. But then, to your point, the book spells it out. Don't just dream, proceed. And do it in a methodical manner, because this is question my father always used to pose to me, is that guy smarter than you are? Is she smarter than you are? Probably not. They just said to themselves, this is what I want to do for a living. And now I'm going to find a lot of smart people around me and figure out what it's going to take to make that dream a reality. And it sounds corny because that's sort of it's not just the American dream, right? You go to Austria, you go to Europe, you go to Asia. There are all kinds of entrepreneurs that have realized their dream of financial independence, health and wellness for their family, their friends, philanthropy after they get to that certain point, or even along the way where they give back. This is our moment. And we can sit and curl up in a ball and cry and feel sorry for ourselves. And we can criticize all the powers that be until we're out of gas and we're out of breath. Or we can say, all right, this is what it is. There's nothing I can do about this other than stay in place, protect myself and my family, protect other people, heaven forbid, if I'm sick. And then every day, make a list. I got so many lists here, Alan. I got a list. Look at that. There you go. There's lists. What was that from? Oh, that's April 1st. And that's no fooling around. That's my list. What does it got on there? I probably did all that stuff on that list, including, Why
does it say dye my hair on there? Why did I see that?
Stop dyeing my hair. Stop. How about the wave I've got going on up here? You work for the wave. I mean, you could surf on that bad boy.
And by the way, the ad that I would add to that is this idea that opportunity is abound, right? So not only do we not sit around and feel sorry for ourselves and worry about, but also look for all the opportunity crevices that are going to start opening up left and right.
Yeah. Did anybody think? Okay, Grubhub, right? There's a good example. Grubhub was a luxury, right? So restaurants, pretty much all driven by entrepreneurs, right? Said, well, I have one choice. I have to decide if I'm going to take an employee, have them come and send them out into the night, and they're either going to get tipped or they are going to get stiffed, right? They get tipped or they get stiffed. And then somebody said, no, what if the tip is built into the bill? And this is a person that has nothing to do with the restaurant at all. They're just going to go ahead and pick up the food at the restaurant and take it to that customer. Well, now, I mean, wow, what's happening? Grubhub has become a necessity. Who knew?
And we know what we probably don't go back. This is this has now been infused into our new normal, right? So even when the economy comes back, we're all going to be much more comfortable with things like Instacart and Grubhub and other things.
Absolutely. And so this leads me to my question to you as a co-host, because you're really the moderator, you're the leader here. And that is, can we explore the answers, which were pretty obvious, about the future? What's your take, Alan? Is this economy going to be, one, the same, two, the same but a little different, or, as the majority of the people participating in this conversation put it, very different?
A lot different. So one thing I want to say before I answer that question, I want everybody to know that we want this show to be interactive. So we're going to, anybody that wants to get in on this conversation, you click the little raise your hand icon at the lower right-hand corner of the chat box, and we're going to put you on shortly. Actually, if you have a question, we'll put you in the question queue. And if you raise your hand, we're going to put you on. We don't want to go more than 25 minutes before we turn on our callers to give us feedback, because that's what's cool about this, is we're going to get that feedback. Now, I'm going to take a quick time out, Kerry, because guess what?
What?
We have a sponsor, man.
What?
We have a sponsor. Dude, this is exciting. I just launched.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I had a moment.
They actually wired me money, right? So you
can wire money?
Yeah, it was PayPal, but it was like a wire.
My fiance.
So we just launched this. First of all, the first week nobody saw it, but I went on by myself the first week, and I was exhausted after I did 2 of these shows because I had to carry the whole thing myself. I was like, I had to get creative. I said, this is ridiculous. So the second week, I said, I'm going to book speakers to help me carry the freaking show and actually give people more reason to show up than just me giving some kind of lecture that's some kind of pulling something out of my professor bag, right? And then the first week I had my very first speaker, Kerry, you spoken to my USF class, and I had to reach out to my very good friend, Rich Hureska, who spoke to my very first USF entrepreneurship class 4 years ago, and asked him for the honor if he'd be my first guest speaker. And we did that. And he was on bad internet, and it was a madhouse, but we did record it and we published it on YouTube. And then and so this is really week 2, right? But I want to talk about we have a sponsor. We have a freaking sponsor. So I know it's hard to believe. So here's the deal. So our sponsor, a lot of you guys may have seen this. I'm actually gonna, you know what I'm gonna do? This is gonna be fun. I'm gonna actually share my screen and show you guys what it looks like. Let's see if I can do this. Allow. Let's see. There we go. And okay. Let's see if everybody can see this. Can everybody?
Oh, here we go. Secure Startup, controlled information distribution. Manage your startup docs from NDA to deal.
Kerry, read that one right there for me.
Okay. Direct and know who sees what and when. Startups seeking investment will have hundreds of documents to manage, from your NDA, which is DNA, and one sheet, to business plans, term sheets, and deal sheets. We know. We've been there. So we built a simple-to-use startup document management platform that gives you the control over your documents, who sees what document when, allows for multiple revisions of documents, and provides a record of views, downloads, and access.
Boom. A professional voiceover artist just opened that up. So here's the thing. I'll cut it to this. So, you know, my day job, part-time day job, is I run investor relations for one of the largest startup accelerators in the country, right here in Tampa Bay, and I run investor relations for that organization. And so what we do is we help startups get funding in the millions per startup, right? And so we are always struggling with documents. Just this week, I had to do a DocuSign on an NDA. So what all of our founders struggle with, a good, even, clean platform for sharing their NDA, all of their financials, all of the confidential information that they have, that they are organizing around their startup. They need to share that to investors, but they need to not only share that to them under confidentiality, but they also need to be able to have them control and make sure that only the right people are seeing that document. They can't have potential investors or sometimes fake investors. So you don't always know what you're dealing with that community. Make sure that it's only for their eyes only. And so that's what Secure Startup does. It gives you a one-stop platform. This was designed by founders, for founders, so that they really have control and they can really control their documents. So, but it actually works on both sides. It works together between investors and startups. So, Secure Startup. This is a Tampa Bay based startup, and so I really want to support them. And they've done a great job with this. And Art has been really supportive of the podcast and so forth. Check out Secure Startup. You're going to see a link at the end of the program for that. Next up, we will go. I want to put a quick shout out to this organization called Global Hack, which is my friend Cal Tiger, which is in the Pinellas County. He's signed on with this global crisis where we're dealing with, but this idea that let's unite all the programmers and hackers of the world to try to solve big problems. Hey, Kerry, read this one for me, if you will, about Global Hack.
Absolutely. How it works. The Global Hack is an online hackathon designed to share and rapidly develop ideas for urgently needed solutions in the face of the current crisis, as well as to build resilience post-pandemic. Our prize pool for the best ideas is 120,000 euros. The Global Hack has already drawn attention across the globe, covered by Forbes, Silicon Republic, CNN, among others, and brought on board a fleet of world-class mentors, such as Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, former president of Estonia, Thomas Hendrik Ives, and Kalia, public health specialist and a neurotechnologist.
Right. put you, that was a real tricky challenge right there. So anyway, this is just a really big initiative where we're trying to unite all of the programmers of the world to try to put really cool solutions to kind of address this pandemic that we're in the middle of. And so my friend Cal Tiger asked me to promote that. Okay, so now we are going to hop back into the firefight here, and I'm going to end sharing. Okay, so we are back. And Kerry, all right, before we take, all right, here's what I want everyone to do is, oh, cool, Cal, you're on CNN as well. Great. Okay, so do me a favor, whoever wants to get in on this, I'm going to talk for maybe we're going to ask Kerry to give his background for 5 minutes, and then we're going to turn this over to the group to interact with us, because we want this to be a call-in interactive show, right? So Kerry,
okay,
let's do 5 minutes of your background. Everyone read your bio already. You're the CEO of Siesta Key Films, I'm sorry. You're a writer, producer, 2-time Emmy Award winning. You also are a professional voiceover artist, as demonstrated, but also you do stand-up comedy in real comedy clubs occasionally and get paid for it. So, but somehow you
haven't left anything out. That's it.
But here's the thing: you look.
Hold on. I want to do this up. There we go.
Yeah. Can you Kerry, bring those forward. No, bring those forward. Kerry, bring those forward. I want them right here.
There you go.
Okay.
Couple.
All right.
A little hardware. Good. Where do you want them? Here?
So good. Yeah, that's perfect.
When they start fighting, they get angry at it. No, it's fine. It's all right. It's not that big a deal. It's not. Okay. It's really not.
So I want to cut right to some questions to get the stimulation of this conversation started. What do you feel are the benefits? Okay, so you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur. You've had some corporate career. You actually are on air at HSN multiple times a week. I didn't mention that in your bio.
Twice today.
You're on twice today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so what happened at HSN is really fascinating. Yeah, what's happening at HSN is really fascinating. They got to a point where they said, we're still going to have a skeleton crew. We're still going to have our full-time on-air hosts, but our guest experts and our vendor guests and our designers, jewelry designers, clothing designers, our experts in home, and electronics, we can't have them in the studios anymore. We just can't do it. And so they basically said, hey, can you Skype? Can you Skype from your living room? Can you Skype from your kitchen? Can you Skype from your backyard?
Hey, Kerry, real quick, Skype is so 2015.
Right. Well, can you call in? Well, yeah, they've been using all kinds of formats, right? Obviously, they're using WebEx and all these other formats. Can you dial in with a video presentation? And if you can't, can you call in and still add something to the presentation? So that's what I've been doing. Thank goodness to my gorgeous fiance. She works the iPhone 11 Pro, and we broadcast live from our kitchen or from our dining room table or from our living room. And we're selling almost the same amount of products without having to go physically into the studio, which is a harbinger of what I think is coming. And I think everybody agrees that the economy is going to be very, very different. And this is an example of it. But here's my quick bio. Started with Armed Forces Radio and Television. I was a kid from Long Beach, Long Island. I grew up the son of 2 school teachers. And when I was in the Marine Corps, I worked a pretty boring job. It was almost like being in the mail room, right? So I had a top secret clearance, which seems cool, but it wasn't. And I was a communication center operator. And in the Marine Corps, as we always have in the Armed Forces, you have an MOS, which is a military occupation specialty. And mine was a 2542. And I had a top secret clearance, blah, blah, blah. I get to Japan, I get off the plane, and I hear some guy going, you're listening to the Far East Network, serving you while you serve in the Pacific. And it was like getting hit by lightning. Because I asked myself, hey, that's this guy's job? Get out of town. He plays records and entertains everybody that's serving in the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines in Japan. And that's exactly what I intended to do. And the thing I'm really proud of, as far as when I look at my career from 30,000 feet, is the things that I identified that I really, really wanted to do I just set my mind to do them, and they turned into real jobs. And it wasn't, I didn't go to any private schools. I didn't go to the Ivy League. Didn't grow up with any money. My parents were public school teachers. It was nothing more, nothing less than, I don't know. I just this idea that this is what's going to happen. Failure is not an option. And I know that sounds really cliche, but that set the tone on that mission. I mean, come on, it was Apollo 13. They could have skipped. They could have said, you know what, let's not do it. There are hotels that don't even have a 13th floor. And I'm like, And yet, when that commander said that, and of course, Tom Hanks is famous for, that line, but failure just wasn't an option. We weren't going to lose 3 astronauts. And with like vacuum cleaner hoses, and they figured it out. And that's what I did. And I rode a bicycle up to the top of this hill, and I started pounding on this door. You've heard the story. And finally, the door opened. And then fast forward, I was on the radio. My commanding officer thought it was a joke. There's no way you're going to do that for the rest of your time here in Japan. And yet I did, because I did some other things that set me up to make that possible. And then that was the first thing you banged on the door to get into that you didn't have any experience, but you just were determined to do. And I'm going to fast forward the tape, because the next thing that you decided, like you're about to talk about in the Hamptons, you decided you wanted to be on stage in a comedy club, but they don't just hand out a pass to say, get on stage at the comedy club. Yeah. So I spent 6 years honing my craft on the radio. And I learned from the best. I was really fortunate. A gentleman by the name of Paul Lockwood had worked at CBS News. He had this incredible voice, and he was the voice of the CBS Evening News on the radio, and then eventually was asked to write for Dan Rather back then. He didn't want to do it. He was recovering from colon cancer. He and his wife had a house in the Hamptons. His wife had a little antique store, and he said, this is it. I'm going to close out my career working for this wacky young guy who just got out of the Marine Corps. Not working for me, working with me. And so he was the news guy. I was the funny DJ guy, and I played the music. 6 years later, it was just inevitable. I needed to go to New York. And to your point, I waited tables at 2 different restaurants. And so I got this job at this restaurant, and I said to myself, all right, I'm going to do this for 1 year. And if it doesn't work out, I'll go back to the Hamptons, where I was a big fish in a small pond. Sure enough, I got a job at the comic strip. Now, for those of you that don't know, and you can Google it, the comic strip is where Jerry Sinfield, Eddie Murphy, Adam Sandler, people that you may have heard of, Paul Reiser and George Wallace, all started there. They all started there. To audition there, it was twice a year, and it went around the block on the Upper East Side of Manhattan twice. That's how hard it was to get on that stage. So I did the math in my head, and I said, let me just get a regular job there. Sort of come in that way, right? Come in the back door. And
you worked the ticket booth.
So I walk in the door. There's a bunch of construction going on. The phone is ringing off the hook. And I said, I'm looking for a job, waiter, bartender. I don't care. But the phone keeps ringing. Now, I spent 6 years in radio, and I know a little bit about radio promotions, and I know a lot about sales because I worked directly with all the account executives. I was also the production director. So I conceived, wrote, and produced a lion's share of all the commercials that generated all the revenue for the radio station. And that phone ringing off the hook was a problem. And I knew it immediately. And so I said, I walked out. This is the second time I did this. I did this at the radio station in Japan. I left, and I turned around. And I said, no, go back. You're not done yet. Go back. I opened this giant door back up, and I went and said, hey, that phone keeps ringing off the hook. Do you want me to answer it? Because I guarantee you they want to get a ticket to this place, and I can close them on getting a ticket to this place. And then the owner popped his head out, and he goes, who the hell are you? And then this other guy came out, and he's like, you were in the Marine Corps? I said, I mentioned that. So I got a job at the comic strip on Fridays from noon until 6 p.m. for $60, $10 an hour, cash. And within 2 weeks, they gave me Saturday night. Within 3 weeks or 4 weeks, they started to see an uptick, because all I was doing was having fun with people on the phone. I was just treating it like this, like a radio show. And I was being silly. I was doing stupid voices. I was like, hello, I do not know who you are. I am just here fixing something. I don't know what to. And they would laugh. Then they started coming into the club asking for me. So fast forward a year and a half later, I finally auditioned, I passed, and I became a comedian there. I also booked a voiceover agent and started landing national voiceover spots and started landing national on-camera commercials. And eventually went out to LA, came back to New York. And so I parlayed that into a really fun voiceover and on-camera career. But it was nothing more, nothing less than failure.
Tenacity, determination. So, Kerry, I'm going to fast forward you before we turn it back. I'm going to turn on some microphones here shortly, by the way, because, you know, we are going to do that. Before we simplify. Thank you very much, Luke. So before we turn this thing over to the folks on camera, and by the way, you have an option. You can go audio only, or you can go for the brave. Only for the brave, they can go camera. Just so you know, Kerry.
Go camera.
Okay? Go camera.
I'm gonna take my shirt off if you guys are ready for that.
No. Okay. So here's my question to you. Okay, because I want to really set the tone here. So we're in a difficult time in this economy. We're all upside down.
Yep.
So because by the way, I'm going to skip like 15 years here, because you know you've always got 3 or 4 side hustle, homepreneur, solopreneur projects going to different. I mean, you're writing a movie script. Let's don't get into that right now. But I really want to put some inspiration out to folks in terms of whether they're in a job, lost a job, or maybe soon to lose a job, how they can assess their talent. Because first of all, there's not a lot of investor. Like, what advice would you give someone who's been in a job, or who's like how they could start becoming a solopreneur or a homepreneur? Zoom out for a second. You were their coach, you were their mentor. Where would you start?
I'd right here. What's in your heart? What is it that you really, really get excited about? For me, all the way back to when I was a kid and I appeared in Wizard of Oz and I was 8 years old, and my mom dressed me up as the lion, and I just did this impression from the movie, and I looked down, and this parent of one of the other kids in the play was falling over onto the ground. He was laughing so hard, and I got so excited that I made an adult laugh that hard. And I was hooked, and I just wanted to entertain people, and it just made me so happy. And to this day, I have to say, paychecks are great. Voiceovers are really cool and fun, but doing stand-up really gets me excited. And this is a time for me right now where I'm focusing in on my Netflix special, my HBO special. I'm writing it every single day. I'm in a new world now. There's a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old in my home, and I was single forever, and I'm madly in love with this woman, and I get it now that relationships are really funny. And so that's what I'm working on. And so I would say to somebody, find out what's in your heart, right? But also be honest with yourself, right? And it starts, having been an athlete, with the notion that, okay, I'm not going to play shortstop for the New York Mets. I got the audition. I got the tryout. I didn't make it. My brother went on to play pro ball. That's cool. But it was clear to me, that all right, you're in the Marine Corps. Now you're getting out of the Marine Corps. You talked your way onto the radio. This is ultimately what you really wanted to do. I wanted to be Johnny Carson. You know this, Alan. I loved Johnny Carson growing up. And he actually started with Armed Forces Radio and Television, like a lot of broadcasters. So look at the things that really make you happy. Then look across the landscape and find people that make a living doing those things that make you really happy. And then be honest with yourself. Now, if it's an artistic endeavor, you have to be honest with yourself. Can you really play the guitar that well? Play the guitar for some other people. Sing for people. Say, oh, I'm going to make a living as a singer. Okay, well, you should sing for people. And you should ask them, to be honest, because we've all watched American Idol, and the person walks up there, and my mom says I'm great. My dad says I'm great. My friends say I'm great. And then they sing, and they can't sing, right? So be honest with yourself. Understand what's in your heart, but what your limitations are, what your assets are, and how you can manifest those assets into something real. And then find people that are already doing it for a living and seek their counsel. That's what I would say.
Beautiful. Okay. I've got other questions here, but I want to take a moment here to get some input from our listeners, and so thank you, Carl, for that. Develop a marketable skill. Hey, Carl, have you been there from the beginning? Just curious. Let me just throw that in there. Oh, Ahmad, you're writing right now, and I'm telling you, Ahmad, I was just getting ready to turn on your microphone. Ahmad says he loves those insights. Okay. Somebody raised their hand, if you don't mind. Okay, Cameron. Hey, Cameron, are you up for it? Because if you're up for it, I'm going to turn on your mic right now. Here it comes. You raised your hand. Let's do it. Cameron, your mic is live. It's hot.
It's hot. Hot mic.
Cameron, you there? All right. Some of these guys aren't ready. Who's ready? Raise your hand. Let's do it. Ahmad, don't make me turn your microphone on. Don't make me do it, because here it comes.
Hello, everyone. This is Cameron.
Hey, Cameron. Good.
Hey, Cameron.
Hi. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Hey,
No
first
worries.
and foremost, Alan, read your book. Really big fan. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Kerry, I wanted to talk to you or ask a question in regards to going about risk. So I was kind of displaced by COVID-19. I'm no longer working, and I have decided to take this step and go out and do my own thing. It's just like you guys were kind of discussing previously, the window's open and I'm just going to seize it. But I was wondering if maybe you could speak to maybe the aversion to risk that some people feel in doing something like this and going out on your own and doing your own thing, and kind of what you do to overcome that, what maybe you mentally prep yourself for as an entrepreneur to kind of take that step outside of the norm of going from a regular 9 to 5 or going from a regular corporate environment to doing your own thing and just getting over that. I mean, it's fear is definitely a good descriptor for it, but maybe just being out there doing your own thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
absolutely. Cameron, it's a great question. And I've gotten it.
That's a brave man, Kerry. That's a brave man right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, so I think early success is good, and everybody has early successes. You have them, Cameron. You just have to look back objectively at your life and your career. There was somebody that you were interested in, and you were terrified to say hello to them, but you did. Right? You were probably really scared at a certain job interview, but you got the gig.
Yeah.
Right? So it's there. It's already inside you. What I like to think in this regard is, okay, so I get back from Japan. I'm out of the Marine Corps. I got my honorable discharge. I got my college in there. And I decided to stay with my dad for a couple of days. And I'm going to look at the radio stations in Westchester County, which is north of Manhattan, sleep on the couch. My younger brother's in high school. And I have a motorcycle, and I probably have $1,700 in the bank. And I go into the first radio station, and I sit in the lobby for probably 2 hours. I have no appointment. None, okay? No idea what I'm doing. I'm making this up as I go along. Finally, the receptionist says, actually, the program director has a minute, and he's happy to see you. And I walk in there, I tell him my story. He pops this cassette. I don't know if you guys remember what a cassette is, into this machine, presses play, and he listens to it. No expression on his face. And he says, wow, this is tough for me. I don't have any gigs for you. You're obviously very talented. The resume looks good. Don't give up. Keep going. There are hundreds of radio stations in the metropolitan New York area, and just keep going. And maybe someday our paths will cross again because you're really talented. Went to the second radio station, same thing. I don't have any jobs. I thought I had a weekend thing. It's 4 hours on a Sunday. You probably don't need that or want that. You probably need a full-time job. But that was just filled by somebody who used to work here. So I went back home, and my dad is a school teacher, right? And he wants the best for me, and he wants to protect me and keep me safe and doesn't want me to deal with rejection. And he says, grab a beer, Kerr. And he pours himself a scotch, and I sit down, and he says, Kerry, do you know no one makes a living in show business? And I said, Dad, we just went to a movie last night and I stopped counting all the people that were on the credits. I don't believe they worked pro bono on that movie. Not to mention all the, he said, Kerry, they all went to Ivy League schools or they grew up in that world. They all know everybody. It's very nepotistic. You don't have a shot. And I was like, I don't think that's true. And I don't necessarily want to be the next Bruce Willis or anything like that. I just want to make a good living, maybe in radio, maybe in TV. If that comes my way, great. And then he looked at me and said, listen, have you ever thought about a career in law enforcement? I was so high during this conversation because I had just smoked a J. I was like, who are you? You know what? I talked my way onto the radio in Japan. This is me. I'm not going to stop until I get a job on the radio. It's not true about the high thing, but anyway, I thought it was fun. But,
All right.
but what happened was I got pissed, Cameron, and I'd always been competitive with my father because he was an athlete. And when I turned 12 and beat his ass in tennis, and I asked him, did you sandbag or did I beat you? And he said, no, you beat me. I said, you damn right I did, because you can't handle my serve. And I beat him every single time. And then I started sandbagging myself because I didn't want to piss him off, you know. But it girded me. Is that the right word? It made me stronger. I'm like, I'm going to show Dad. Well, you can show yourself. You can use any and every piece of rejection as armor. And the more you get rejected, the stronger you become. And I'll give you an example. I became a commercial actor. What does that mean? I auditioned for voiceovers and TV commercials. Okay, do you know what the return is on that, Cameron?
No.
10%.
Wow.
Maybe 5%. That means for every one commercial that I book, I have to go on 10. It actually wasn't. It was probably 2%. For every 100 auditions I went on, I booked 2 jobs.
Wow.
Holy shit. That's a lot of rejection. But then you book one job and it's worth $100,000.
Yeah.
And you're thumping your chest walking around and everybody's so proud of you. And then there you are on national television. And my mom's at the bank going, oh, did you see my son? He's in the Biz commercial. It's on a lot. He's doing really well. And the residuals just keep coming to the mailbox. And now I know I got another 100 to go. So then all these other moments of rejection don't mean anything to me. I'm bulletproof. And that's what you have to become, Cameron. Bulletproof. Because these rejections, they do define you.
Okay.
If you look at them as, that's yesterday. I'm going forward. This isn't what I was meant to do. Because we've all had really bad jobs. Alan and I worked for a guy who's anyway, but we had a team. We had a team that was amazing, but we had one guy who screwed it up for everybody. We have to, and every once in a while over a beer, we'll go, oh gosh, that could have, but it's ancient history. It's ancient history. And you have to throw, okay, here's my other philosophy. Do you know the artist Jackson Pollock?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So can you imagine how the art world thought of Jackson Pollock at first? Hold on a second, Jackson. Oh, slow down. I know you're excited, Jackson. I know. But you can't just throw paint.
Right. Throwing paint at the wall.
What kind of disease do you want? Are you drinking? Are you on drugs? Like, just no. Stop. Wait. You keep throwing it. Jackson, slow down. I'm your agent. I know the art world. I know inside you there's this talent. And he was like, no, trust me. This is the next best thing. And of course, the guy made tens of millions of dollars, was in every museum on the planet, because eventually, after throwing all that stuff against the canvas, when you stood back, you had something magnificent.
Yeah.
Kerry, I want to add to that. So
that's you, Cameron.
So Cameron, yeah, I wouldn't say that same thing. You talked about fear and you've been in a corporate job. My best way of summing that up is to say, number one, you only get one life, right? Mm-hmm. And if you really ever want to have a shot at true freedom in your life, to be able to make your own schedule and to work the hours you want to work, and even have a shot at wealth, true like opportunity for, wealth for your family, and yourself, there really is only one path that pays off in freedom and wealth, and that is entrepreneurship. There's no corporate. I don't care how high you rank. You rise the ranks of corporate. You definitely don't get freedom. And maybe if you're lucky, you get wealth if the stock and everything just works out just right. And by the way, a big salary is not wealth, Gary. Right? A big salary.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
Wealth.
No, I mean,
right.
I'm as wealthy at this moment, Alan, as I've ever been in my life. Am I terrified about getting sick? Do I know where the money's coming from? Will they ever make a movie out of my screenplay? Will my TV series get? But I'm working at every day. I'm madly in love with this woman. I'm writing every day. I'm doing this right now.
Right.
I'm getting my own schedule.
So that's my message to Cameron is when I talk about wealth, I'm talking about the monetary wealth, right? And of course, there's relationship wealth and all these other, and there's spiritual and psychological wealth. I'm talking about monetary wealth that people that make big salaries, ultimately their lifestyles have caught up with those salaries. So the only people I know, and by the way, I do investor relations for one of the biggest startup accelerators in the country, right? I work nothing but with high net worth individuals, right? Guess what? They all came from entrepreneurship roots, right? So there's only one way. I mean, I cannot stress this enough. I really cannot. And I definitely talk about it. But there's only one path, and I dare anybody to challenge me on this. There's only one path to freedom, as in time, freedom of time, and wealth, as in millions of dollars in the bank. There's only one path, and that is entrepreneurship. Owning a business, building a business, creating a business is the only way to do that. And by the way, you can do that small. Our U.S. tax code and all of our economy is geared towards business ownership, right? So, for example, business owners get to write off their boat. They get to write off trips to interesting places. There's a lot of tax benefits to business ownership, right?
Sure.
And so those are kind of the tax benefits. But ultimately, put that aside. The bottom line is, if there's only one way to accumulate time, extra time that you can use, and there's only one way to accumulate wealth, as in money, and that is through entrepreneurship and home and through business ownership, right? Yeah.
Well said.
So I want to put that out there to you. Is like, so if you get up in the morning and you feel a little fearful because of the job and all that good stuff, and no matter what kind of hardship that might be upon you now or might be upon you in the near future, you just got to put that in your mind and go, you only get one life. You're going to be 50, 55, 60 before you know it. And guess what? Whatever's in your bank account by way of money and by way of and whatever available freedom of time you have is going to be a direct correlation of whatever your entrepreneurship endeavors are.
Very good.
Okay. All right, cool. Hey, thank you so much for that. Thank you. We're going to move on to another. We've got a couple other callers here waiting to get in on it. And if that's all right, Cameron, is that cool? All right. So Cameron, I'm going to put Ahmad on. So Ahmad, I think you're on, brother. Might be a little bit of a lag. We find typically there's a little bit of lag. So let's give it that 20 seconds. Ahmad. And by the way, I know Ahmad. Ahmad was one of my star students in my very first semester. And he came to my class already with a successful business that he'd already set up to run without him. And he was already working on in real estate investments. And the young man was like 22 years old. Ahmad, are you out there? Ahmad, your microphone's turned on. You are live. So
Ahmad,
I'm thinking you're coming in. Ahmad, where are you, brother? Hang in there. Usually there's a little bit of lag and it comes in. Ahmad, are you there? Don't make me unlock your camera.
I want to join the Ahmad squad. Come on, let's do it.
Ahmad, you there? Let me make sure that we've got everybody we need. Okay. Ahmad, you're on mobile. I see that, right? All right, who else do we got? While we're waiting, let's talk to Carl. Because Carl, by the way, Carl is my man. He's my number one man. And He always shows up strong for me. In fact, he and I had a long conversation over the weekend. And let me go ahead and turn Carl on. So Carl, there's going to be a little bit of lag. I just turned your microphone on. Let me hear you now. Yeah, there you are. Hey, Carl.
How you guys doing?
By the way, real quick timeout. Kerry, we have a celebrity amongst us. Kerry, you don't understand. You don't understand. You do not understand. This man.
I don't understand.
Okay, Kerry, just brace yourself. Hold on to your seat. Okay. This man knew the original founder of Auto Trader. Are you listening?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Personal friend who knew the man of Auto Trader, which was founded right here in Clearwater, Florida. The man who built the building that you and I love and know so well, right? At ICOT Center, the studio.
Okay. Oh, wow.
With the weird apartment in the fire pole, right? Sure. That you and I.
Yep.
So that was the Auto Trader founder that Carl knew personally, came up under and worked for, did ventures with. Not only that, but Carl knew the founder of Publix, Mr. Jenkins, personally.
Wow.
And he knew the Auto Trader founder personally. He's a Clearwater Pinellas living legend. Carl, you're on. Sorry.
Okay.
I have to do that, Carl. I'm sorry. I have to brag on you, Carl. Please forgive me.
Okay. I think you're boosting me a little bit. I'm going to have to sit lower in my seat here. No, actually, in that same building you're talking about, I was there before construction. He had the office inside before he had anything else, including the studio. And he hired me as a business developer and an idea person, which was great because he had plenty of money. And this was after Auto Trader, obviously. But to make a comment on the...
Hey, Carl, real quick. How much did he sell Auto Trader to Comcast? How much did he sell?
No, he sold it to, if you hadn't said Comcast, could have told you, the people that own Valpak, I can't think of their names, Cox Broadcasting. But it's estimated between $150 and $200 million. And he started off.
Real quick, that's a lot of freedom and a lot of money, a lot of wealth and a lot of freedom.
It was a ton of that. And he actually started that out of being pissed off at St. Pete Times because they wouldn't listen to his idea about doing the same thing in the St. Pete Times. And he walked out and said, screw them, I'll do it myself. So, but to comment on, the topic of what you guys were talking about, I did put in there, find a marketable skill. Obviously, if you don't have a marketable skill, it's going to be very difficult. And there are a lot of artists that are struggling, and there are a lot of actors that are struggling. But the other thing is depends on how bad you want it. Okay. I think the only difference between success and failure is up in your head. Okay. It's in your mind. And to me, it's more about the trip than it is the destination. I mean, if you're doing it and enjoying it and somebody rejects you, screw them. Okay. Just go on to the next one. Because, I think I told Alan, I do workshops on sales and marketing and success. And I tell people I've probably spent over $350,000 in mistakes and rejection. And I've probably made that many mistakes. And I have learned from every one of them. Now, keeping it real about what you want to do if you want to be successful, because it's a scary thing getting out of a secure JOB, meaning just over broke. Getting out of that.
Gary, wait for it. Did you catch that?
Yep. I like it.
You caught it. What JOB stands for?
I got it.
What does JOB stand for, Kerry?
What?
What does JOB stand for?
Just over broke.
Yes.
Just over broke. Thank you. I want to make sure you caught that.
Yeah, because when you work for somebody else, they can't keep you if you make a lot of money, because then you get bigger than they do. So they always have to make sure you make less than they do. But we need those people. Don't get me wrong. My point is that if you have the will and the drive, and failure is not going to be something you want in your life, you might have to go empty garbage cans. You might have to get a side gig. You might have to get something to fund your passion. And then you feel a little bit more secure, because if you don't, and you continually failing and not being able to pay your bills, you're going to end up back in a job. So you got to be real about it. At the same time, be passionate about it, because there's a lot of people out there that are passionate about a lot of things that you better enjoy the trip, because the destination may not be there. Okay. But, and I don't mean to be a downer with that. You just got to be real about it. But the thing is that if you want it bad enough and you have a marketable skill and you know it's a marketable skill, Screw anybody that tells you you don't. Who was it? Colonel Sanders. I think it was 78 times he got rejected on his recipe. What if he'd have stopped on the 77th one?
Jeez. Wow. That's a great point.
And he didn't get that until he was like 65, 67 is when he finally made it. And he was cooking chicken out of it.
Henry Ford was in his 50s.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a lot of them that do that. I mean, I'm older than water and twice as weak, and I'm still trying, and it's just, I just keep going. I mean, I don't see myself stopping ever because I'm enjoying the trip. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to, I don't have white pillars in front of my house or a huge yacht, that kind of thing, but I enjoy what I do.
But Carl, I'm going to brag on you again. You don't have to be specific, but you've got a passive income stream through a product. Yeah. Kerry, I'm going to tell you about this more offline. Carl found a product that actually did well on HSN, and he ended up striking a deal with the producers so he could be the North American producer for this product. And that was many years back, and he still has mailbox money. You mentioned mailbox money, Kerry, earlier, right?
Yeah.
Mailbox money. Carl, who I know personally, has mailbox money from a product that all he does, by the way, Kerry, is forward orders because he's the designated North American wholesale distributor, and he forwards it to the producers, and he gets mailbox money. I'm sorry, Carl. I know you hate it when I brag on you, but honestly, so many people aspire to do to be able to pull off things like that. And then you know what that allows Carl to do? It allows Carl to go spend the time and money on the things that he really cares about, other than forwarding orders for this product that he barely cares about. But it puts enough money and time in the plate so he can go do the things that he cares and he's passionate about.
Yeah, if you can find a side gig, you don't have to like it. I always use the analogy that I like reading bumper stickers on the back of other people's cars, but I won't put one on mine because I really hate bumper stickers. But I love reading them on the back of other people's cars. If you give me 10,000 people that want a bumper sticker, I'll sell every one of them a bumper sticker. I don't have to be in love with it. I don't have to love it, but that's because that's not my passion. Would fuel my passion. And so I've created a couple, kind of side gig type things that don't occupy a lot of my time, that are almost automated. And I use that to fuel my passion because, I do free business consults for people who can't afford it. I do workshops for like $55 and I buy them lunch. That's not exactly a retirement program, but I enjoy doing it. And so the one fuels the other. But you just have to find something. Number one, have a marketable skill, which I think I do, and I have something that's going to support that passion, and then you make of it what you want to, and screw anybody that tells you can't do it.
Love it, Carl. That's beautiful. Screw them if they don't believe in you. You got to believe in yourself. Hey, Ahmad, are you ready? Thank you, Carl, for that. And I'm going to see if we can get Ahmad turned on here. I know, but I think he's going to his PC. Anybody else want to weigh in here with any questions or comments? Okay, cool. Ahmad, you're turned on. You're turned on, brother. We're going to give you a little delay on the lag. There you are. Good.
Hear me?
Yes, there you are.
I can hear you.
Oh, nice. Beautiful.
Ahmad.
Wow.
Yes, Ahmad.
Pleasure. Kerry, thank you guys. I appreciate you all. Kerry, beautiful insights. And love to hear your story. Professor Allen, my professor, he prepped us up all to be great aspiring entrepreneurs and current entrepreneurs. So I appreciate the both of you guys tonight. Definitely took away some key points, like no matter what you're focusing on or facing in life, just stay strict and directed towards the path that you want to accomplish. No matter how many no's you get, you just really are working for that one yes. And once you get that yes, you keep feeding success on success on success that builds that path to ultimate freedom, as some people would say. Did I catch the message? Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And
Beautiful.
Ahmad, the other thing I think is important too is that you hear so many people say this: surround yourself with like-minded people, like we're doing tonight. right? So if you've got somebody in your life that says, oh, come on, Ahmad, you're a dreamer. That's never going to happen. You're not suited for that. You didn't come from the right family, or you didn't go to the right schools. You can still have a relationship with that person. I'm not saying, be a total loner, but I don't have any time nor any inclination to spend any time with people that don't look at me as if I'm that guy that does what his heart desires.
Right.
Because my life says that I am. Right? My whole life, I've heard so many people go, oh, man, I've got this great idea for this screenplay. I'm going to write a screenplay or I'm going to write a book in, Alan's instance. And how many people do it? 0.01%. I pulled this out of my desk. Like, I've seen these in movies. I've seen these things in movies. They're thick. Yeah. They seem like a lot of work. A screenplay? What? What did I do? I found an online course about how to write one. I read 3 books about the proper format.
Yeah.
It demystified the whole thing for me. Yeah. I latched onto a story that I could really relate to. And every day that I wrote was a ball. I wasn't getting paid a dime for it. And I haven't sold it yet. But you know what? I'm like weeks away from getting the finance to make this bad boy.
Congratulations.
And it's really funny. And it's heartfelt. And it has an entrepreneurial story inside it, as Alan knows. Yes. So Ahmad, surround yourself with people that believe in you as much as you believe in yourself.
And some of the sometimes I'm going to tell you, for me specifically, like, it's very difficult because my work ethic, I love to work hard and make sure I accomplish certain things. So, like, especially I know people are going through challenges, but right before, like, the coronavirus pandemic, I'm in real estate now, Professor Allen, I heard him mention. And my goal was to buy properties off cash. So I hadn't needed to utilize any financing. But just before the virus, I purchased another property. And here I am sitting with, like, less than $1,000 in my bank account. But it's these times.
Ahmad, time out. Just saying to Ahmad, time out. You need to take a screenshot of that bank account balance.
Yeah.
Take a picture of that, man. That is going to be epically valuable and famous for you the rest of your life. You have been blessed. You have been blessed to have that bank account situation right now. Please, please, please take a screenshot of that.
I will. Thank you
because
for letting me realize the blessing in it.
You're going to show that to people one day as you tell your story. Let me show you where I was. Let me show you what I was dealing with, right? Yeah. I've got a friend of mine who's very, very successful. He's a motivational speaker, and he loves to pull out his bank account. It shows like $7 or something in it. Now he's making millionaires, right? He's making millions, right? So this is a blessing. You should celebrate this bank account right now.
Well, I appreciate you showing me that perspective to see the blessing in this whole thing. And when it's all done, I mean, I've been pretty strong and confident, resilient enough to know that I'll get through this. But it is tough times. You learn a lot. You learn, like, especially I'm in the mid-late 20s now, so a lot of my friends, they're not in this wave and they're not on this. So I can't really speak to any of them about it. But, like, another thing you said was surround yourself with people that are successful in that field, people that are going out and reaching for their best. And that's what I try to do, surround myself with much more experienced, grown, knowledgeable people that either I can relate to, talk to, or take something away from. But I still have the other friends on the side, and we connect on other levels.
Right.
Yeah.
So Ahmad, I know you personally, and so I think that this is tremendous opportunity for you to really retrench in your character and retrench in your determination, right? So this is how you want to look at it. Like, you want to feast on this. You want to feast on this, you needed this, man. You needed this thing to happen to throw you against the wall onto the floor and just let that thing happen, because now you can use that energy like a phoenix to like fight back through it, like Kerry mentioned earlier, right? You got to turn this. Like, I'm telling you, success is numbing. Success is not energizing, right? Yeah. Like being being knocked down is where energy comes from, right? So leverage this up.
So I'll share with you guys a little funny story. So the last few days, I've been quarantining and working as hard as much as I can, but I've been building up strength and not just strength, but mindset by watching The Godfather, the trilogy. So that's it's been good. Recommend it to everyone.
Right?
So,
get your power from wherever you got to get it.
Yeah, you just don't know where you're going to get it. Everyone is different. For some, I mean, I was drawing last week. I did journal writing. I go to the lake sometimes, but a little bit of exercising and playing tennis, and those things help me stay balanced. Kerry, this one's for you. One of the last things I was going to mention. So Professor Allen knows my dream is to go to New York, invest big time, and do real estate out there. I left last year in January, and I went, and in a short time, I did accomplish a good amount of things. Like, I was able to meet some successful people. I worked under a woman where I was exposed to some penthouses in the city and so on. And I was like,
wait, what?
Yeah, I was working out there, and I got exposed to some good people, and for example, I started doing events with her at a penthouse next to the stock exchange, Wall Street, and things like that. But to be honest, the effort wasn't rewarded. So I like to work hard, do things to the best I can. And I seen that when I got done, we rented it, and she got $12,000 for the efforts, but she just gave me $100. And in New York, going back and forth from the subway and doing all these errands and whatever else is factored in, $100 to living in Orlando or Florida in general, that's like nothing, $20, $30. So I was a little upset, and it changed my mind. But at the same time, I did have more opportunities back here in Orlando. So within that time, I just took it to myself. I came back, reevaluated. I got super busy here, invested in here, and grew out pretty further out here. But my dream, my heart, I wake up every morning and I still feel that flow, that direction to want to be out there. It's something that really still drives me, And you being from New York, what advice would you give to a young sport coming up in that way?
Well, yeah, make a ton of money here, and then go spend a nice 3-day weekend taking a Broadway show and come home. Okay, so I could do an hour on New York City.
Yeah.
And it's quote unquote the greatest city in the world.
It is.
Have you been to Paris?
I have.
Pretty cool, right? Have you been to
San
Diego? Pretty cool. San Francisco's pretty awesome. Boston's amazing.
Yeah.
You can list tons of cities. I mean, I love Austria. Prague is a pretty cool city, but at the end of the day, it's quality of life, right? And the quality of life in New York City is very, very tough.
Yes.
And we just associate New York City with penthouse apartments and houses in the Hamptons, and you could make 6 figures in Manhattan, and after the federal, state, and city taxes, there's nothing left. You're in a 1-bedroom or studio apartment that costs $5,000 a month. There's nothing left over. You can't go to a really nice restaurant. You can't go to Broadway. There's no discretionary income left.
No.
But it just draws us there by its very nature, right? Because there's just so much human energy.
Yeah.
Right. It's the cacophony of life. And you look up and look at these incredible skyscrapers, and then you climb up into one and you go, oh my God, this is amazing. It's almost like Vegas. Who wants to live in Vegas? Nobody. Go there for 2 or 3 days and then come home.
Well,
it's one of those deals. Now, I want to go back to your earlier point.
Yeah.
And it's super important. And I hate to quote this guy, but it's just something I
don't
learned
do it.
Kerry,
don't do it. Don't do it.
And I'm not that good at it today. And that is, Dr. Phil once said, "We teach people how to treat us."
Yeah.
Right. So when I get a phone call, or I get an email, or I get a recommendation from Alan or other friends, hey, there's someone that has this product, and they're going to take it to HSN, and they don't know the first thing about home shopping, and I recommended you to them.
Yeah.
And they're going to call you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm going to be very frank with them, and I'm going to say, here's what we're going to do, and here's what you could conceivably make, and here's what you're going to have to pay me to make that happen. Now, you can go to any number of other people to help you get on HSN or TV.
Right.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I wish you the best. But in that moment, and this is, Alan used to say this to me, if you make a mistake, you have to rub your nose in it.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Like a dog.
I can't believe my dad's sayings have like carried on. My friend.
I did it. I was on the air on HSN last night, and I forgot one thing, and afterwards I said I gotta sit it for a second. I gotta understand. I missed that. I forgot to mention this, and that's a really big reason people buy this. You know, it was a vacuum cleaner, right?
Yeah.
It's not. That's not important. But I stuck my nose in it for a while, and you have to own the fact that you didn't say to that woman, what are we doing here? Oh, we're going to have this big presentation. We're going to try to do this, that, or the other thing.
Right.
And I want you to be there. Oh, and what's my role going to be? You're going to be this, that, and say, okay, and what's my end of this? Do I get a percentage of what you ultimately take, or am I going to get a fee? Because I have a day rate.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an hourly rate or a day rate, or we can talk about a percentage. But that has to happen at the beginning. So you manage expectations. Yeah. And I've been there so many times where someone says, hey, listen, I want you to do this voiceover for this amount of money. And I say, yeah, that's fine. And then 2 weeks later, they go, hey, we need you to fix a bunch of stuff. Like, oh, I'm happy to do that this one time. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, hey, can you record the whole thing? No, I can't. Well, it doesn't say anything. So, and obviously that's where contracts come in, and that's where securestartup.com is your friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Kerry. Hey, Kerry.
Very
Thank
nice.
you for that sponsor plug. But Kerry, we have Ahmad. You're gonna step back for a second.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. No, you're the best, man. Thank you, the best. And we're gonna talk again soon. I have Kerry. I have a business owner. Very successful business owner in the Texas area that I adore. Her name is Coco, by the way, and met her years ago. Her and her mom do interior decorating, and they do an amazing job. And I just adore this woman. Her name is Coco Courtney Kerrigan, by the way, but we call her Coco. I'm gonna throw her on mic because not only will she have a great question, but she'll also impart some tremendous wisdom every time I'm around her. And we're going to throw this up. And then she even told me on text that she's like, you can throw me on video if you want. And I'm like, what? Okay, so here we go. So, Coco, you're on audio only at the moment. And but I'm going to unlock your camera just in case you want to throw it up there. Because here's the thing. It takes true bravery, true entrepreneurship, true grit, and true bravery to throw yourself out there and join this conversation. You got to have all of it. You got to have everything. So here we go. Courtney. Yes! Woo! Woo!
Wait, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yay, I did it.
Woo! You look great, Courtney. You look great. Courtney, Coco, you look great, by the way. You look great.
It's nice to see you.
I met you 10 years ago, and you're like the same age as when I met you 10 years ago. You are. You're the same age.
Let's not talk about that.
All right, Courtney. First of all, background on your business and how you started it and the big leap you made, and give us the background on that.
Well, I mean, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit for sure, and I mean that's how you and I met, and we when I was a professional organizer, and then that changed for me, and I had the opportunity, with the help of a divorce, to do something different, and so I took everything I had and risked it, and said, "Why not? Let's open a shop," and so that's what I did, and I literally put every cent I had into it. And I was at that point a single mother of 2 little boys, one still in preschool, one in elementary. And I just knew that I could make something I wasn't sure what it was going to be. It has morphed tremendously since we first started it. And yes, I did ask my mother to join me. She wasn't really paying attention when she agreed to it. So.
Just sign this, Mom. Sign it right here.
Sign there.
Yeah. So we are, we're mother-daughter, but we're also 50-50 business partners. And we're very passionate about the business side of things. And so we actually get asked to speak when we go to conferences and whatnot because I'm in the home industry, and we have accessories and furnishings and lighting and all of that stuff. And
Coco, I have to interrupt. How the hell is your business being impacted by this right now?
Oh, it sucks. Yeah. It's, we shut down. We've been shut down for 3 weeks, and it was part of our second quarter plan to hire somebody to do a e-commerce website. So, I have been building an e-commerce website for the last 3 weeks by myself, and I have no idea what I'm doing. But I actually am hoping to launch part of the site before the end of the week this week, and then hopefully the e-commerce portion of it next week. Right now, we can
deliver stuff to people.
Let me tell you, the people in my industry are the best, and everybody wants to help everybody. And we're all just schmucks trying to earn a living, and so a lot of my vendors are willing to do free drop shipping for us. And, it's the e-commerce is going to have to evolve and change. Obviously, I have a lot of one-of-a-kind stuff in my store, so that's not going to be on the website right now because I don't have access to it, and I'm just not ready for that yet. So, but I've been working with vendors for the last 3 weeks straight who have product that I know I can list, that I know I sell well already, and that kind of thing. It's going to be a very curated website. So
Coco,
it's not like I'm trying to be Amazon.
Let me ask you a question, Coco. For this podcast, the spirit of this is to give inspiration and information and guidance for aspiring entrepreneurs out there that are either losing their job or potentially losing their job soon, but have the entrepreneurial mindset. What advice would you throw out there? Someone who's been through the wars. I mean, you have been through like the last 5 to 8 years, the wars, and you made the big leap. What advice would you throw out there to our viewers, listeners right now?
Well,
I like that.
Well, seriously.
No, really. Really. By the way, jobs are not. There's no such thing as job security, right?
Right. I'm a little nervous, but here's the thing. I guess maybe it's just the way that I am wired, mm-hmm. But and my mother is the same way. Who would have thought? But we're identical, and we both had the same philosophy since this whole thing started, that we will be fine when this is over. We may not have a store, but we will be fine, and we will evolve, and Coco and Dash will continue in some way, shape, or form. And that's scary. It's really scary to think.
Yes.
I love my store, and we were right before all of this hit. We're at there's so many big things that are about to happen for us that were in the works. And
this economy was so strong for so many of us.
Right, and then all of a sudden, I think it sounds silly, but you just kind of have to have faith and keep, just keep going like everything's fine. And as soon as we can all leave our damn homes again, you just start back to work. I mean, I never quit working. I've been working from home, and so we're still talking to people on Instagram, and I mean, people are still. And the really cool thing about my industry is everybody's been trapped in their homes for the last month.
Right.
They're all looking around, going, "What a dump! I need somebody to come and help make me fix this up." So I'm hoping.
It's right?
I'll get a ton of business when all of this is over.
Yeah, I'm looking at Courtney. I'm looking at that tapestry, thinking I want that in my bedroom.
That's behind you.
Thing is fantastic.
Thank you. I'm in my dining room. This is my mobile office here is my dining room. I've completely taken it over. So
I'm in an Uber right now. I don't know where we're going.
That's what it feels like, right? Where are we going? I have no clue.
Coco, before we go here, because I mean I know we want to wrap at 8:30 Eastern. You're on next time zone. I think you're probably 7:25. I'm guessing. So back to this advice. Like, what would you say to someone? What would you say to someone who maybe they're in late 20s, maybe in their early 30s, that is either losing their job now or soon, and has an entrepreneurial mindset? Like, what advice would you give? What would you give to them right now?
Are you asking me specifically?
Yes, you, Coco. What would you say to what would you say to that young person?
Keep doing what you were doing before. I mean, I don't feel like this is going to. I mean,
whoa! Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Set the stage. They're in a job they don't love. They got an entrepreneurial mindset.
No, I'm saying go shoot for your dreams. Absolutely. That's always my MO. Like you go for what you want. Now, if you have to work, just like Kerry was saying, he had to work some crappy jobs.
I think he said he ate out of a garbage can at one point.
And he may have. And you know what? I've done some things that I can't talk about on air. And you know what? We do what we got to do until we get where we want to be. And you just have to keep at it.
So you're basically saying go for your, I love that quote, go for your dreams. Like, do not stop going for your dreams, and no matter how bad it is. And right now, if you are vulnerable to your job or whatever, would you agree that this might be the best opportunity? For sure that the economy is a struggle, but like we saw on that one slide, so many things get started in these kind of situations, right?
Absolutely.
By the way, Coco, can we be honest? You started your company, which is now very successful, and I can't get away from you on Instagram because it's amazing. Your store is amazing. Everything's beautiful. But you, honest, no, but in a good way. But honestly, you started this in a vulnerable position. You started this under, like you had just, like I think you mentioned divorce. Like you started.
I had nothing.
Right, not in a position of strength.
I mean, I
you had a few dollars, right?
I got
you had a few dollars.
Basically, I took what little I got from my divorce,
Mm-hmm.
which was not much. I mean, let's
Right.
be honest.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I can either go buy a house and then work in some job, working for somebody I don't like, that's going to tell me things I don't want to hear and things I don't want to do, or I can take this money and spend it on, building something that I have absolute control over, and that I can, I can go to a place I love to go. I can work with people I love to work with, and and do the things that I love to do. And so, yes, there was a bigger risk with shooting for the dream, but I feel like I'm much happier today than if I am not a 9-to-5 girl sit at a desk. I can't do, you can't get me to do that. So, so I don't know. That's my answer right there.
I love it. Kerry, what do you say to that?
Yeah, I think that this is that moment, right? And you can, I think it's easy to look Like I waited tables in New York before I got the job at the comic strip. I omitted that from the story. So here I was in the Hamptons running a multi-million-dollar radio station, and I was the morning show host, and I was doing theater with the Hampton Theater Company at night, and was having a really cool good time. I was in my 20s, and then I'm waiting tables, and I'm hearing, young man, I need some more butter over here, young man, and you're late, and this, and it was tough. It was a big piece of humble pie, but I didn't care in that moment. It didn't bother me at all. I didn't feel ashamed. It was just a means to an end. I was in Manhattan, and I knew that right around the corner I was going to make a living doing the things that I really love. And so a job is a job, right? An application or a vocation or a profession or a dream is something else entirely. And I agree with you wholeheartedly, Alan. What is the definition of freedom? Is it really financial freedom, or is it spiritual, emotional, and time freedom?
Time, spiritual, emotional, and so forth. Coco, to that point, you've got a successful store business. Like, what is your favorite thing about being a business owner? Before the pandemic, what was your favorite thing about being a business owner?
Being able to make the decisions for myself, and knowing that I walk into the store, and there are days when it's just another day, and then there are some days where I walk in there and I think, I made this. Like, I did this. This is, and I own this. Like, this is all mine, and I did this, and people like it. Like, and sometimes it's a little surreal feeling, and it's, and then sometimes it gets a little overwhelming, but then there's so much satisfaction in knowing that I am doing something that makes people happy. I mean, people come into our store and say things like, just wanted to come in and have some peace and serenity. Mm-hmm. I love your store, makes me happy, and I needed some happy today. And I'm like, great, look around. You don't have to buy anything. I'm the worst salesperson. In fact, my 2 employees that I have usually say, could you just go in the back and just, So
I'm trying to sell something up here.
Right. I'm the worst. I'm like, if you don't like it, then don't buy it, but I'm horrible. But it is cool that I can walk in there sometimes and I think, oh my gosh, I did this. This is all mine.
Hey, Kerry, that's my question to you. So you have 2, 3, or 4 solopreneur, homepreneur businesses, from the film to the voiceover to the HSN product. Like, what is your favorite thing, Kerry, about being? Kerry's bringing some supporting cast members in. Okay, Kerry, what is your favorite thing about being a solo, independent business owner and all the ventures that you have? Because I'm going to just throw you a little bit of a chum in the water. Like, you have tremendous flexibility and independence, for sure. I know that about you. What else would you add to that?
I'll just agree with what Courtney said, and that's it. There are certain things no one can ever take away from you. That's all there is to it. It's like, here's one right here with my shorts on. There you go, right here. No one can ever take this away from me.
Nor would they want to.
No.
Easy, Coco. Easy, Coco.
Or one of these. Can't take it away from
they can't. Yeah. And that way we like.
All right, you win.
That's the whole point. And no one can take away the fact that I wrote one of these things. And I'm going to write probably another 5 of them before I'm done. And I'm creating a TV show that I think will be, I don't know if it'll be as funny as Parks and Rec, but we're kind of fashioning it that way. And no one will be able to take that away from me. And
hey, Kerry, quick plug. We got to, Coco, before we wrap up, you got to hear this. So Kerry, spent the last 20 plus years in home shopping network environment. So HSN, QVC, and also the one in Minnesota called Shop NBC, right? So he's just been all across the board. So he decided to write a spoof, like The Office, kind of a spoof on the world of home shopping. So Kerry, we're going to wrap up here. Explain, I know you'd love to play the video because you got a pilot, but just explain the premise of the show. in the pilot?
Well, the premise is driven by the reality, and that is that TV home shopping has been a multi-billion-dollar business for a very, very long time, and now it's facing extinction potentially if they don't become relevant in an online world, right? Why do we need to watch a live broadcast of anything other than sports and breaking news? Why? It's all on demand, right? So how do you make it relevant? How do you keep it going? So my show, tvshoptv.com, is about television's worst home shopping network, walking away. And they are hanging on for dear life. And they're egomaniacs. And they, this is the last thing they ever dreamed of, was selling stuff on television at the worst home shopping network. But they're trying to figure out a way to keep it working, because what they truly believe in their hearts is that it's really entertainment, that it's relevant, and that they're making a good living. And so it's not, it's funny. It's very, very funny. But these are also people dealing with real things. And so I'm really proud of it. And I feel like, talking about opportunity, right? So I just signed with an agent to represent the project, and we were talking about it. And he said, this is a wonderful time, because everything I hear from content people, from streaming services, from networks, is that everyone's binging on everything. And when we come out of this, everybody's going to be jonesing for new content. And I feel very confident that this show is going to happen. And I wrote a full pilot episode. I'm working on the second and third episodes now. I have 6 episodes flushed out, and hopefully that'll be just a wonderful thing to be a part of.
Kerry, is there a link to the pilot on?
No, it's private.
You got it all locked down?
It's not a pilot. It's like a sizzle reel. It's like a 5-minute trailer. But if somebody wants to email me at Kerry,
can you put in the group chat? There's only a few people in the group chat. Just put it in the group chat.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I gotta put a.
Take your time, paste it in, because it's really funny. If you guys love The Office, you know how awkward The Office is, right? Everything's awkward. So this is behind the scenes of the home shopping network environment, and with the same kind of awkwardness, humor. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up here, guys. This has been better than I expected, honestly. And Coco, you made my night. You made our night, honestly.
Nice to see you.
Carrie, did she make our night or what?
Absolutely.
Oh, whatever.
I know you're trying to figure out how to copy and paste right now, but other than that,
I got it. Here we go. Here it is. Here's the link.
Okay, cool.
And people share this with other people. Paste. Let's see.
All right, we're gonna wait for Kerry. We're gonna wait for Kerry. There it is. Okay.
There it is.
Cool.
Here's the password, all lowercase.
Oh, there's a password. Whoa.
I feel special.
Yeah, don't share that. Don't post it.
Do.
It's fun.
Hold on. I got to go back and figure out. Okay, here we go. Okay, the password is Shop TV. Okay, cool. All right. Hey, we're gonna go here, guys, and we're gonna watch it on our own. Thank you very much, everybody. Coco, will you come on and be a guest host for me in a few weeks? Coco.
Oh my God, I'd do anything for you.
Awesome.
Wow.
Coco.
Hi, Ashley.
Ashley's here. Yes, she's around. Ashley, can you say hi?
Hi.
Okay, she's you're Ashley approved, just so you know.
Aw.
So it's all good. Thank you guys so much. This is going to be. By the way, this has been live. You didn't know this, by the way. I didn't give you a disclaimer, but this has been broadcast live to Facebook Live all night long. Just so you know.
Glad I brushed my hair.
Now I'm taking my shirt off.
That's it. Sarah Kerry. This has been broadcast. No, stop.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
No, all right, guys.
So is this?
I gotta go.
This has been. By the way, number 2, you're gonna get a link. It's also I'm publishing it up to YouTube. And thank you guys so much. You've been a joy to my life, and I'm just so excited about this. Thank you so much.
This is empty. I gotta go.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.